Evening, welcome to the press conference for Emma Raducanu. As always, please raise your hand and state your organisation when asking a question. We'll start. Emma, tell us about your first experience on the centre court.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience on centre court. It was the first time I played on there, and from the moment that I walked out through those gates, I could really just feel the energy and the support, and everyone was behind me from the word go. So yeah, I really just tried to cherish every single point on there, and yeah, played every point like it could have been one of my last on that court.
Emma, Sport, you let out quite a roar when you won that match. Was that relief that you got through it and obviously without any physical issues?
It wasn't relief, it was just happiness to play on centre court and get a win first time. It's amazing, and now every time I go back I'm just going to have a great first experience, you know, that always helps. And it was a tricky match because Alison is a great opponent. She hits the ball really low and flat, and it definitely suits this surface, so I knew that going in I was going to have to play well, and yeah, I'm pleased to have come through the tough moments.
Hermione?
Hi, I'm Samani Carroll from The Guardian. The other day you said that given your preparation, that you feel like you should play with lower expectations. I'm just curious if you were able to do that, I guess, on the day, given how big the occasion is and what it felt like.
Yeah, I definitely feel that because I didn't play tennis for 2 weeks, and then this week I've hit like an hour a day, so my preparation wasn't necessarily the greatest, but I know that when it comes to the matches, I feel like I really especially switch on, and I don't feel like I need massive amount of preparation. Of course I do to build physically, but I think a lot of it is mental, and I definitely went out with the belief today, and I know that I can compete with anyone on the other side of the court when I really go for it.
Eleanor?
Hi, I'm Eleanor Crookston, PA. Having Jane O'Donoghue with you here, can you just explain sort of the thinking behind that and what she's bringing to you kind of on and off the court?
Yeah, Jane, she's been with me since I was 10 years old. She's a family friend, and she's been there throughout my career. You know, whenever I've sort of needed help, she's very successful in her industry, you know. So yeah, it's just great to have someone that I've known for years be there for me this week, and yeah, that's what she's always done, just be there for me whenever I've needed her or a hand.
Hi, Mitch Phillips from Reuters. Were you able to take a second when you walked out onto centre court to kind of compare and contrast what that was like compared with last year, or were you on game face by then?
I definitely took it in. I mean, I looked at the crowd and just saw everyone, and noise was just amazing to hear, and from the word go, and then when the crowd filled out a little bit as the match went on, even more so in the tricky moments, I think they really pulled me through some tough ones, but yeah, I took it all in, of course, because how many times do you get to walk out onto centre court?
Hi, I'm Yasmin Side from The Express. We can see you're wearing Rafa's logo right now. We know you wore it earlier. Is there, I guess, a reason that you're wearing it? Is he your favourite? Are you taking inspiration from the year he's had?
Of course, I think that Rafa just embodies fight and that sort of energy, and that's what I'm bringing in. And in terms of energy wise, I think that I have had a tough year, like it's no secret, but it is all worth it, you know, just to go out on centre court and get a win like that. I definitely am very happy to be here, and all the lessons that I've taken from the last year will only hold me in good stead for the future.
James Gray, iNews. Emma, I just want to ask you a little bit more about Jane. You mentioned she's been very successful in the industry she's in now. Obviously, she's got a tennis background as well. So, are you working with her? Do you talk about tennis? Do you talk about life, how you're feeling? Is she there for company, for want of a better word? Can you talk a bit about like what you're working with her on?
She's there for everything. She always has been. She's helped me a little bit with the tennis. When I was, 11, 12, she was national coach, so she traveled with me, took me on trips, but yeah, since she went into the industry, we sort of just chat about life and everything, so yeah, she's just a great family friend, I would say.
Hi Emma, Tom Hamilton, ESPN. Was there anything today that surprised you at all on centre court? Anything you looked at and thought, this is new, or anything like that?
The only thing that was different was walking out. We both walk out at the same time, so I wasn't really sure about that. But any time you're walking out onto centre court is going to be cool, and everything else I was prepared for, and definitely from the minute I think that the coin toss and the first point, I was right in there.
Hi Emma, Joseph Regal, tennis head. Congrats on the win. It was a great atmosphere out there. I noticed early in the match on Alison's serve at 1-1, she was up 30 love. You kind of gestured to yourself like putting your hands down like that. I guess to settle yourself a little. Was that to calm yourself internally, to calm the noise of the crowd? What was that, and what other techniques do you kind of use to stay calm and focused on court?
Yeah, I think that it was in the second set. It was a tricky beginning of the second set. I got broken, but I had chances. First game I was 40 love up, and it's a bit frustrating, if you don't convert like 5 break points or something. But it was probably just calm myself down and stay focused. I'd say that I was really just playing every single point in the moment, and that definitely really helped.
Matt Majid from the Evening Standard. I just wondered, I know it's only one match into Wimbledon, does it feel like this tournament could prove the kind of turnaround for your season in 2022?
Well, I just won my first round, but I definitely feel a really good energy. How can you not, playing here and just walking around, you really feel the positivity, and I feel like I've learned a lot in the last year, but it hasn't necessarily all been, terrible. I won my first round at every slam, and as a 19-year-old, I pretty much just took my gap year and, I'm starting again now. So if the last year hadn't have happened, then I think that any 19-year-old walking onto centre court would be a positive experience, free, and I think it was, and I definitely embodied that today.
Hi, Emma. Andy Dunn from Davy Mirror. You referenced the physical issues that you've had recently. How did you think you stood up to it today? How did you feel after the game? And are you confident that you're going to be physically capable of a deep run in this tournament?
I think that it helps at slams that you get a day off in between. So I think that is pretty valuable. I think that having played the match just now, right now, I think that I'm still very much on adrenaline, but I felt good out there. There was some tough moments in the second set, physically, but I just told myself push through, and if you win in 2 sets, then you don't have to play 3. So that's the tactic.
Alex McPherson from the WTA. Can I have your thoughts on your next opponent, Caroline Garcia? Like Alison, she's just won a title on grass, but like Alison, you beat her earlier this year on hard courts.
Yeah, I mean, Caroline's a great opponent. I played her earlier on in the year in Indian Wells, and it was a tricky match. She plays pretty fast tennis, so I'm ready for that. And right now I'm kind of just enjoying the win, but tomorrow, I'll prepare well and be ready to go Wednesday.
Oh, sorry. It's Eleanor from ITV News. So winning your centre court debut in front of your home crowd, where does that rank in all the things that you've done over the past year?
I would say it's funny because this place for me is still the most special, the most prestigious, and although centre court size-wise is smaller than Ash, by quite a lot, it definitely feels bigger in significance, and just the feeling that I get here is definitely special compared to all the other tournaments. But it's tough to say. I mean, I wouldn't take away winning the US Open for anything, no matter what anything or life throws at me, that I've got that. And but yeah, it's up there.
Hi, Mitch Phillips from Reuters again. Just going back to the game, are you pleased with the way you kind of worked your way through the game? It looked like you were kind of thinking away you were getting lower and lower, trying to deal with this different challenge. It must be satisfying that you kind of worked out a way to overcome the challenges.
Yeah, I think Alison, her game is really awkward, and she has great hands, and she'll chip one back, and it'll be like it'll just die on the floor, and then she'll hit one, and it's really flat and fast, so you don't really know what's going to come at you. So I was very pleased with the way that I sort of adapted to everything she threw at me, and yeah, it was definitely some tricky moments where I broke back, and then I held some really tough service game, especially at the beginning, like my first service game. I was really pleased to get that one. But yeah, she's a great opponent. She's very experienced, and she's won a lot of matches recently.
Can we take two more? Yeah. Emma, you've had so many new experiences over the last year. How much does it help, or does it help to start sort of coming back and doing things for the second time, and to be playing people that you've already played before?
Yeah, I think that it helps just with experience. Every tournament or every match you play, you learn something, and it helps. It will be a positive tool for the future. I think in a way, when you haven't played anyone before, it helps too, because no one knows you, no one knows your game, and that is something that I experienced in a positive way last summer, because no one really knew who I was. And since, I think that people have definitely, watched me and raised their level and raised their game and played some great tennis. And I haven't necessarily played badly in a lot of the matches, but I think that coming back here is always going to be a special tournament for me, my home tournament. I've got incredible memories, and I'm just looking forward to playing here again.
Hi Emma, JG from Game to Love. You mentioned you have now won at least one main draw match at each of your first 5 majors. How do you regularly find your best tennis at Grand Slam?
I'd say big matches and big occasions are the ones that I really sort of get the most fired up for. It's definitely a different feeling, and I love playing on the big stages, big occasions. I think that instead of like shying away from it, I really thrive in that, and it's special to come through the first round, because first round's always tricky. There's definitely an element of, I haven't done this before, I haven't played on centre court, you haven't played a match at that tournament. So yeah, I'm pleased to have come through, and hoping to play well tomorrow, the day after.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Emma.
Thank you.